Hi everyone, it's me, Jen. I thought that after the short that I posted just the other day, that I should have a little bit of a longer video to introduce you all to my kid, who I mentioned in that video was moving over the last few days. And so, if everyone can say hi to my kid, Jax. Jax, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Yes, this is the kid that moved over the weekend, and yes, I had to do a little masking up and put on my happy mama face to listen to all the demands that I was given in order to successfully move him from an apartment up there in the building to this one down here. We did a lot of up and down and all around in the last few days. But we are feeling much more relaxed today, and we wanted to share with you kind of the backstory on Jax. And we're just going to keep it on the topic right now of moving. And this is the part I wanted to share is why these moments are meant to be celebrated. Um, when Jax was born, 23, is it 23 years?
Mm-hmm.
How old are you now?
23.
23 years ago, when Jackson was born 23 years ago, he was a happy-go-lucky, easy kind of a baby. And it wasn't until right before the age of 2 that things with Jackson's behaviors began to change. And I say that he basically slipped away. I had this easygoing, happy baby who then all of a sudden became withdrawn, scared, fearful, anxious. There were so many things happening all at the same time. It was very difficult to not only parent, that's the truth, but to figure out who could help us, because it seemed we were dealing with so many things. And so the top 5 things, that's how I'm going to sum it up right now, is the top 5 things that we really noticed in Jackson's first 5 years. Number 1, there was something up with the way that he was hungry all the time. You have anything to add about hungry all the time?
Who doesn't like a good snack?
And snacks is where it's at, because Jax wanted a snack pretty much every 5 minutes. And you would often hear me say in those years that my kid needed protein. I didn't understand the backstory to that. I just knew that there was something happening, that his body was calling for protein. And maybe there were some other reasons too why he was hangry all the time and wanting snacks. So that was one of the things. The other one we started to notice is rages and meltdowns. They just were happening so often. Any reason for rages and meltdowns?
Who knows? Probably anything and everything.
And that's really true. There was no rhyme or reason oftentimes for some of those meltdowns and rages. Maybe it was because the third thing was happening at the same time, which was sleep issues. And we all know that when you're tired, you are cranky. And if it wasn't one person in the family who was tired, then the other one was cranky, or the other ones were reacting to everybody else's behaviors. It was just a real cycle of chaos, really, in the house with 2 toddlers at that time, and we were dealing with these things with Jax. Jax, what number am I at? Was that 3 on sleep issues?
I think it was
3 on sleep issues. Number 4, that we started to see going along was his inability to make friends. And Jax was a fun kid. You were very fun,
Yeah.
very cute and lovable. But there was a lot of, what do we call that?
Flapper time.
Flapper time. A lot of fluttering happening back in those days. And, kids didn't understand it. We didn't understand it, but he seemed happier oftentimes on a playground, kind of fluttering around in a circle or lingering over by the chain link fence. Um, and for other kids, it didn't make sense. It wasn't that Jax wasn't a great friend. It was just kind of hard to figure out what was going on with some of that flappy duty stuff going on. And so that was the fourth one. And then the fifth one I would toss in right now and say it was very difficult for Jackson to commit to certain activities, didn't follow through, with maybe some of the summer camps, or it could be something like that, or an after school activity, or even chores. Like that was a big one. We got really scared when we had to say, do a chore. Why would you not follow through? Any reason?
I didn't decide to do it.
You didn't decide to do it. You didn't like when mama or your brother or anybody else in the family was saying, get it done.
Yeah.
And as soon as we started to say that, there was a
meltdown.
A refusal, a rage that would last for hours and hours. So those were kind of our top 5 things that I was seeing between the ages of 0 and 5 for Jax, and this carried on for many, many years, to the point that as Jax got into high school, I really started to wonder if he would ever survive out in the wild. I actually started to wonder if this kid was going to have to live with me forever. And that was terrifying to me. I mean, we love our kids, we do, but there is a stage and an age where maybe they should be moving on. But with so many issues that were just really rooted in by high school, I thought there's no way that this kid will ever leave home and will never go out to the wild. Jax, can you tell our fine folks, though, what happened 2 weeks after graduation?
I went to the wild.
Literally.
Yeah, very literally. I moved out to a small tourist town and took a full-time job with staff accommodations. That's what I could kind of manage and afford and use as my stepping stool to independence and figuring out if I could do it on my own. And I think I could. I think I can. I think I am.
Well, you showed the world.
Yeah.
And we know that's what happened in the first month or two that you were out in this small mountain town working in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And we'll just do this part where I think we'll just kind of say what we know to be like the top 3 things that were absolutely fantastic. And then we'll kind of share the flip side. So, top 3 things that were fantastic about leaving home.
I think in the beginning, top 3 things, especially in the place that I was living. I mean, the independence for sure was number 1. Making my own decisions, making my own routines, doing the chores when I wanted to. 2 would be the adventure and spontaneity of just choosing what I wanted to do and choosing if I wanted to go for a walk or lay in bed or do what I needed to do, other than shift times, which were always on schedule, but just choosing what I wanted to do with my day. I think for me, 3 was food.
Ooh.
Yep.
I knew it was going to come back to snacks, you guys. Here we go.
Yep. But I got to go to the grocery store and choose what I wanted for dinner and what I wanted for a snack. And that was really fun. I mean, I did at that point too have a staff cafeteria with provided meals. So that did support that as well. That kind of was a good stepping stool of finding where I could still have that backup of if I can't don't have the capacity to make food, there is food options there. Um, but I can also start making the little bits of decisions of what I wanted to make and learn how to cook and make my own food or make my own decisions and make sure that I was fed. But it wasn't always this is what's for dinner, suck it up. But it's my choice.
And I would often say as a mom, suck it up. This food was made with love. So I always said that.
It sure was.
Yeah.
But it's nicer when you get to make your own.
Absolutely. That's right. So and just to share with everyone too that there was no planning for this move 4 hours away from home to a mountainous area. It was done very quickly, and once Jax had his mind set, he was gone, and very shocking for me, thinking that this kid would never leave and go to the wild, and all of a sudden there he is right there living in the wild.
Yeah.
So we learned a lot the first couple months. We're just going to summarize a couple things now, and then you'll see some videos going on down the road with Jax and me, and sharing some more of this big story that we've been on for 23 years, because there's a lot more in the middle that we're kind of leaving out right now. But in those first couple months, with all the awesome independence and snacks and beautiful trees and outdoors and your own decision making, there were some things you learned pretty quickly about yourself. And so, just a couple points there. What didn't go well in that first job that you had away from home?
I think first was staff accommodations. As much as they are a great place to land and have a roof over your head, there's still the worry of roommates and party people. My first day I got in there, I got in a wait list for independent room, a single room. But I was first placed into a room with 3 beds. I was alone in that unit, but I knew that there was people coming pretty fast. And I was also on top of the known party location, which is not great when you have 5 a.m. shifts. So they moved me pretty fast to another shared unit, but I was still lucky to not have a roommate at that point, and was lucky enough to get into a single unit fairly quickly. But it was a worry of mine going in there was learning to just meet new people and then just meet them and live with them right away. It's a big step. um, but that was a hard part.
It's funny because we teach our kids stranger danger, and then they leave home and have to go shack up with strangers, right? How dangerous is that?
Good point. And I think second was the job. As much as it was a good job and a good place for me to land, I started learning the physical demands were a lot different than sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day. And with physical capacity of my own, it started to get pretty difficult pretty fast. And I knew that I was not the type that would be going and hiking a mountain on a weekend. Learned that pretty fast. But I found my own ways to go sit by a lake and find rest and recovery. And I think 3 was just a manager that didn't really know what he was doing and didn't know how to treat people kindly. And some people decided to stick it out with him, but I knew in my own world that I had choices and I could probably find another job somewhere else. And so it's pretty much what I did because it was going pretty terrible pretty fast with him. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 3 things you learned pretty fast once you were out there in the wild. So that's where we're going to leave it for today. But what I want to leave as a takeaway is you just never know. And we don't want to limit anybody. And so I've always been the kind of person that's been a plan A, B, C, E, F, G, X, Y, Z kind of a person. And we need to give people room to grow, to move their moods or move themselves, and find themselves. There's no failure in this. Even though Jax came home after about 3 months up there, he came back with this fierce independence that has led us to where we are today, and why I did the short video. I posted one about the moving, and how tired we were a couple days ago. But he's moved a few times over the last, I think we're 5 years since you took that job in the mountains. And we'll share different stories later on, perhaps. But he's doing a-okay and finding his way, and it doesn't always go great, but it keeps going. And that's what we want to leave, I think, with everybody today. Anything else about that?
No, I
That
think
one I really threw you
we're
on the
good.
spot, but yeah.
We're going to roll up. Yep.
Right? Moving is, in your mind, what would be your one word that you would say about the moving experience? Let's leave it with that. One word. What do you got?
I think moving, you just forget that those few days exist ever in your life. But by this point in our life, that's probably equaled up to a whole year.
A lot of moving.
It's just, you forget about it the day after.
You really do. The pain is worth it because there is growth. And so we are cheering you on, whatever you may be growing through or moving through. And like I always say on the Weight of Anxiety channel, let's do this day.